In the GRE, interest rate questions can be about directly solving for some variable, whether that be the actual interest rate or the balance or the initial principal. Or it could also be about conceptual understanding of what must be greater depending upon like different interest rates or different amounts of time that you're compounding or um, different types of interest rates. So let's just talk about this question here. We're going to do it in both ways though. So in account A and account B, we're going to both start with $2,000. Both have an annual interest rate of 4%. But account A compounds annually while account B compounds quarterly. So this is the first really important thing. If something compounds quarterly, it doesn't necessarily, well, it doesn't actually mean that if the annual interest rate is 4%, that it's 4% every quarter. You have to divide however many times it compounds throughout the year, divide that number by the interest rate. So you could say then it compounds by 1% or it increases by 1% every quarter until the end of the year where it has increased at that point 1% four different times. The reason why I say it increases by 1% four different times is these are actually not going to be the same. A 4% increase once is different than a 1% increase four different times. Why? Because after each time you compound, you are now taking 1% of a different larger number. So let's just do quantity A first. Quantity A is 2,000. The way I do it is you really just put 1.04, which is a 4% increase, times the initial principal, and that's going to give you your final balance, which is 2080. For quantity B, we're getting account B's balance over the first year. Instead of a 4% increase, we have a 1% increase for 4 quarters. This is the amount of times you compound. That's always the exponent. And we're going to multiply this by the initial balance again. And in this case, we're going to get 2,800, or sorry, 2,081 roughly. Slightly bigger than quantity B or quantity A, only by $1. So this is the really important point. When compounding interest rates, when accounts have compounding interest rate, if both accounts have the same rate, but one compounds more often than the other, the one that compounds more often must have a greater balance. And that again is because you are taking not the same, for example, if we take 1% increase every quarter, you're no longer taking 1% of that initial balance anymore. It grows every quarter. So in sum, you're taking greater than just 4% of the initial balance.